Namaskar. After a very long time, I decided to step up and start speaking on my own journey and start talking on the topics which are more relevant on my path and see and connect if other people are going through the same. I know it takes a lot of courage to be out there and be here in the forefront and connect with people. It's not easy task. I know how much I have worked on myself to be here and speak out today. Even when I was starting this channel last year, I was interviewing other people. I know it's not easy to be there and just speak out your own inner truth. It takes a lot of courage because we have gone through certain experiences and have seen how our inner truth, when we expressed in the outer world, how it has been received by others. And that's make us more we then try to carry a hidden mask or try to hide our true self and just try to play out and be there in a very superficial way. But it is what it is. So now I've decided to start talking on certain subjects and topics which are more relevant and more useful, maybe for people who are going through the same journey as mine. So let's begin. So before we start, I always like to start with a prayer, but today I'm just going to chant a simple mantra. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The topic for today is what is the gradual path towards awakening, and then what are the sudden path that people experiences towards awakening. Gradual versus sudden awakening. Let's try to understand first what is awakening. A spiritual awakening is a shift in consciousness where you begin to see life through a wider, more authentic lens. It is often described as waking up from the autopilot of the ego driven life that we have been living throughout our life through the constant stream of thoughts, the roles that we are portraying in the society, and the societal conditioning that we have been living through since our childhood. And recognizing a deeper, interconnected awareness as our true nature. This is what is generally described as a spiritual awakening. While the experience is unique to each and every individual, it generally involves several common elements. Some common signs and experiences are heightened awareness, where one becomes an observer of their own thoughts rather than being controlled by them. Loss of ego, the rigid sense of I, like what is my name, the job, what is my past, starts to dissolve, replaced by a feeling of oneness with the universe. Increased and heightened sensitivity. Your senses may feel very sharp and you might become more empathetic or sensitive to others' energy. You might start secluding yourself from crowds and you might feel a lot of ups and downs in your emotional states, or you might feel very sensitive to your own energy as well as the energy of your nearby people. Common synchronicities. You may notice meaningful coincidence such as seeing recurring number patterns like 1111, 222, 111, 444, 888, 555, or thinking of someone right before they call. Like telepathy becomes increased, your gifts and certain phenomena start working more faster than possible. Shift in values. Material success and external validation often lose their appeal. It is now being replaced by a deep desire for meaningful living, purpose of life, and truth, and maybe service to others as well. Now, let us try to understand what is gradual path in awakening. It is a systematic, step by step approach towards the spiritual growth that emphasizes consistent practices, studies, and the progressive refinement of one's inner character over a given time. Unlike a sudden awakening, the gradual path is often compared to a long term educational process or a very slow process of training a horse. It acknowledges that while our true nature might be inherently awakened, our lifelong habits, ego, and mental clouds take deliberate effort and work to clear out. In ancient modalities, the gradual path is often described as Krama Mukti, which is a Sanskrit term, and it is also called as Vishuddhi Magga in Pali. It is a structured map for transforming the human mind. The gradual path focuses on progressive purification, which is systematically removing the veils of the ego, the habits, and ignorances to let the natural awareness shine through us. Now, let's look at some examples from the ancient Eastern traditions of how this purification path were laid down. In Buddhist path of purification, especially in Theravada Buddhism, this journey is famously laid out in the 7 stages of purification, which are the purification of conduct, purification of mind, purification of view, purification by overcoming doubt, purification by knowledge and vision of what is path and not path, purification by knowledge and vision of the course of practice, purification by knowledge and vision. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the 8 limbs of yoga, which is also known as Ashtanga Yoga, it provides a ladder for the gradual path, which is moving from the external behavior to the deepest core of the mind. The first two are yama and niyamas, which are the ethical foundations that stabilizes the external life. The third and fourth are asana and pranayam, where we prepare the physical body and breath to handle the high energy of deeper meditation. The fifth is pratyahar, which is the turning point where you withdraw your attention from the 5 senses and look purely inwards. Then the last three are samyama, which is dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, a combination of rightful concentration and meditative absorption, where the sense of separate self finally dissolves into the object of focus. In Vedic tradition, there are 4 yogas. These are referred in ancient Hindu philosophy that suggests that the gradual path looks different depending on your temperament. You can follow one or a combination of the 4 paths to enlightenment. Like the first one, Karma Yoga, the yoga of action, which is gradually purifying the ego by serving others without attachment to the results. The next is Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion, channeling all emotion towards the divine through prayer and ritual to melt the hard and difficult ego. The next is Jnana Yoga, which is the yoga of wisdom, a path of intense self inquiry, repeatedly asking, "Who am I?" until the false identity falls away. And the last is Raja Yoga, which is the yoga of meditation, a systematic scientific approach of stilling the mind's fluctuations. Now let's look at the Zen's 10 ox holding pictures. This ancient modality uses metaphors to show the gradual psychological journey of a seeker. Searching for the ox, the initial call when you realize something is missing. Catching and taming, The long, difficult middle period of training your wild mind, which is the ox, through discipline. The circle, both the self and the ox, vanish. Enlightenment. There is only pure awareness. Entering the marketplace. The final stage where you return to ordinary life but with helping hands, transformed and integrated. In Taoism, the gradual path to awakening is also known as Nedan, which is internal alchemy. While traditions like Buddhism often focus primarily on the mind, Taoism views the body and spirit as a single integrated system. The goal is to return to your original primordial state, the Tao, through the systematic refinement of your internal energy. The three treasures. The Taoist path is built on the transformation of the three fundamental substances of life: Jing, which is the essence, your physical vitality and creative energy; Qi, the life force energy that flows through your meridians; Shen, the spirit, your higher consciousness or divine spark. Now let's discuss the difference between a sudden versus a spontaneous awakening. While sudden and spontaneous, these words are often used interchangeably in modern spirituality. In ancient traditions, they drew a technical distinction based on preparation and causality. In short, sudden is a breakthrough that occurs at the end of a path, as if the fruit finally drops, while spontaneous is an uncaused event that happens without a path. Lightning strikes a tree. In Zen Buddhism, which is a sudden school, it also acknowledges the spontaneous path. The sudden path, which can result into satori or kensho. This is the result of great doubt. A practitioner spends years working on koan, a paradoxical riddle, and the awakening is sudden because the mind reaches a breaking point and just snaps out. It is compared to the bottom falling out of a bucket. You were carrying the bucket for miles, but the moment of release is instantaneous. Spontaneous. This mechanism is the solitary realizer, where this person has no teacher and no sutras. They awaken by observing a natural law, like seeing a withered flower, and suddenly grasping the entire nature of impermanence. It is spontaneous because it wasn't sought through a Buddhist framework. This is just an example. It can happen in various different ways as well. In Advaita Vedanta, it focuses on the direct path of knowledge. In Sudden Path, the liberation without steps, after studying the Upanishads and practicing self inquiry, the realization that I am Brahman occurs in a flash. This sudden path is also called as Akrama Mukti. It is the rope and snake analogy. You see a snake, which is an illusion, and are terrified. When a lamp is lit, you see the rope. The transition from fear to peace is sudden because you cannot gradually see a rope. Spontaneous, often referred as Sahaja or Prarabdha. Some individuals, like Ramana Maharshi, awaken with zero practice. Advaita explains this through Prarabdha Karma. The person finished their spiritual work in a past life, so the awakening matures spontaneously in this life, often triggered by a random event like a fear of death or any other life circumstances. The Kashmiri Shaivism tradition provides the most detailed map of energy and grace. The sudden path is referred as Shambhavapaya, the way of Shiva. It is for the highest seekers who can jump directly into pure consciousness without using mantras or breath work. It is a sudden act of will, spontaneous, or Shaktipat, the descent of grace. This is a purely spontaneous event where the divine Shakti pokes the individual's soul. It can happen to anyone, a sinner or a saint, regardless of their practice. It is uncaused by the individual and is viewed as the divine play, Leela of the universe. In Tibetan, Dzogchen is known as the great perfection and the pinnacle of the natural state. Sudden is also referred as Treksho, cutting through. A student who has stabilized their mind is given a pointing out instruction by a master. The recognition of the nature of mind is sudden. The spontaneous, also referred as Lundrup, refers to the spontaneous presence of reality. A spontaneous awakening happens when a person slips into the gap between two thoughts because our true nature is always present. If the clouds of thought accidentally part for a split second, a person with high natural capacity can realize the truth spontaneously. Taoism emphasizes the return to source through simplicity. The sudden is also referred as Wu Zen. In internal alchemy, you refine your energy until it reaches a critical mass. The final transformation of Shen, the spirit, into the Tao is a sudden ignition. Spontaneous is referred as Zira. Self-so-ness. Taoist legends often feature unlearned simpletons, woodcutters, or cooks who are already awakened. They didn't do alchemy, they simply never left the Tao. Their state is spontaneous because it is their natural, uncarved state of being. So, which path relates to you most? Is it the Zen sudden path based on the result of a koan which is shattering the ego? Or the Zen spontaneous path, the Pratyeka Buddha observing nature? Is it Advaita path of sudden path, the aha of intellectual self-inquiry? Or spontaneous, the death experience, just like Ramana Maharshi? Is it Shaivism, the jump into Shiva consciousness through sudden path? Or spontaneous Shakti path, a bolt of divine grace? Is it Dzogchen, sudden path, cutting through via a teacher's help? Or a spontaneous, accidental slip into the gap of the mind? Is it a Taoism, sudden path, the ignition of the alchemical elixir? Or a spontaneous, Zira, the natural state of the simple man? Are you trying to integrate a specific experience that happened to you? Please let us know about your journey and what would you like to see next in this channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a very nice day.